Welcome to the Malta Medical Cannabiz World Summit. Matt Lawson, the Canna Consultants.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to this inaugural Medical Cannabiz World Malta conference here in St Julian's. It's 2 days of information, learning, debate and discussion amongst all individuals who are active participants in this field, all made possible by the Maltese government, its visionary commitment to legislation supporting this high-growth sector. There are, as I'm told, over 2,000 of us here. There are over 150 exhibitors upstairs and over 150 speakers, including the Deputy Prime Minister, the Minister for the Economy, from whom we will hear shortly, the head of the Malta Medicines Authority, from whom we heard last night and I can see is present with us again today, and the head of the Medical Cannabis Cluster at Malta Enterprise. Who am I? Well, my name's Matthew Lawson, but only my mother calls me Matthew, and then only when I'm in trouble. To everyone else, including all of you, I'm just Matt, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all here today on behalf of all of the speakers and the organisers of this event, and to give our combined thanks to the organisers and the government. In addition to delivering these opening remarks, I'll be chairing the rest of the regulatory morning, so you may see me pop back and forwards through the course of the day. If you're anything like myself when I'm at one of these events, I want to know a little bit about the person who stood in front of me so I can decide whether to listen or whether to smile politely and have a bit of a daydream. So I'll skip childhood and I'll perhaps start in my adult life, where I began life working in the City of London for what was one of the oldest merchant banks. It was enjoyable, but I craved more freedom, and therefore I became a member of the bar. I became a barrister, and for the last 24 years I've practiced in the field of regulatory law in the UK and in Europe and elsewhere as well. It was through that professional capacity that I became involved in the cannabinoid sphere, and while I continue to practice independently at the bar, I now have an additional involvement with the cannabinoid industry through a consultancy that I set up alongside one of the other speakers who's on the panel later today, this morning, Stephen Oliver, and he's addressing the conference tomorrow as well. We created the Canna Consultants initially as a business facilitation consultancy to provide services. But what we have seen is that we've expanded that in relation to provision of assistance to governments and independent economic areas as well. You'll all have your own experiences of the market and the implications that come with it. But all of us, as market participants, have something to offer each other today, and something that we can offer the regulators, the government, and we can take from them. So while I speak from my own experiences, I've got no doubt that you'll have similar experiences yourselves. And your mere presence at an event such as this denotes a number of things. It denotes that you, as market participants, have identified a need that you have, that you as market participants have identified something that you can offer to others, and through the auspices of the summit and the provision of assistance by the governments, you can assist each other in that regard. National governments and independent economic areas. What this, we feel, really assists with and deals with is the principles and in practice of the creation of environments that assist both the business and the community and the nation itself. And we've seen that in this nation that we are in Malta. We believe that the knowledge gained by interaction with the governments can assist us all, because this is really a combined effort in a marketplace and with a commodity which is so relatively new from a health, proof and commercialisations perspective. It's important that it is a unified approach between the participants and the governments. Also, we have to have funding. If I didn't know already at the point in time when I went to work in the city, I realised that money makes the world go round. Every day since, that's been something that one can't avoid. But it has to be the right type of money. It has to be from the appropriate source, at the appropriate time, and in the appropriate structure. Because those who have the knowledge and set up the regulatory environment need to be able to assist, control and shape what goes on. And there will be some people in the room who are looking for funding. There'll be some who are looking to fund. And it's rare that you can find each other without some assistance. You don't necessarily need an arranged marriage, but you do need some assistance in identifying what it is about each other that has benefits. The marketplace needs some certainty, and in many jurisdictions that I deal with, there is a complete lack of certainty, and there is a general lack of standardised regulation. What needs to be decided by jurisdictions and the market itself, and this is often, it's a combination of the market working in unison with the government or the regulator to decide what any individual jurisdiction wants to set up for itself. And questions are numerous, but include things such as, is it to be a medicine or a supplement? Do I have to choose, or will somebody else choose? When can medical cannabis be prescribed? By whom can it be prescribed? Who is to fund it? Is it to be a natural distillate, or a natural isolate, or a synthetic isolate? Well, all of these matters are things which need to be grappled with by the market participants. And it's at events such as this, where we can all meet and interact with each other, that it doesn't happen overnight, but that interaction and that conversation starts matters flowing, and we end up with a situation where we have a proper, regulated, standardised industry. What jurisdiction? Because many of you may operate in a single jurisdiction, but with advances in technology, this industry is going to be multi-jurisdictional virtually for everybody, if it isn't already. The opportunities are there, they just need to be grasped. And deciding what standards you're to apply in any one jurisdiction has consequential effects for elsewhere. One needs to look at the position from a multi-jurisdictional position rather than a mono-jurisdictional position, because nobody wants to be isolated, and equally being part of a wider group, but specifically identifying what you can add or what distinction you can make in your own jurisdiction can make a huge beneficial outcome. Well, the question is, why are you here at this conference? Well, the very fact that you're here tells me, and no doubt tells yourselves and each other, that you are committed to the ethos of wanting an industry that's professional, regulated, and don't forget, above all else, assists the end user. The end user here are not commodities, they're not individuals who are buying a product, they are individuals whose health is the outcome. And that the fact that each of you is here wanting to interact with other members of the community tells us all something about each other. But why are we here, as in why are we in Malta? Well, I'd like to move, just to conclude before I introduce the Minister, the situation. What do we know? Well, the pharma industry in Malta employs more than 3,000 people, representing 15% of all people in the manufacturing sector in Malta. The first EU member state to have a holistic regulatory framework for cannabis. Approved projects are to invest over €100 million in capital expenditure. They're expected to create over 700 new full-time jobs, supplementing Malta's exports by in the region of $900 million by 2022. Exports of medicinal cannabis from Malta are scheduled to begin as early as Q1 of next year. In 10 years, and this applies for us all, the European medical cannabis market is set to be worth more than €55 billion. Malta is a world leader at the forefront of this industry. And it's my absolute pleasure today to introduce you to one of the individuals without whom none of this groundbreaking and innovative progression would have been possible. The Minister for the Economy, Investment and Business in Malta, the Honourable Mr. Chris Cardona.